Alright, so let's talk about multiplying and dividing with sig figs. So, when you multiply and divide with sig figs, it's a very different rule. Personally, I think it's one of the easier rules, but what you need to do is you need to look at the fewest number of sig figs. But before you do that, you just do the math like you would any other problem. For the first example, we have 83.04 divided by 0.0370. So just put it in the calculator and you'll get an answer of 2,244.324324. Okay. Now, where do I round that? Well, again, let's look at how many significant figures are in each number. In 83.04, there are 4 sig figs here. There are 4 sig figs. 4. In 0.0370, there are how many sig figs? Correct. You better have said 3. There are 3 sig figs. 2 non-zero digits, and then this 0 is to the right of the decimal and to the right of sig figs. These other 2 are not. So then you ask yourself, which is smaller, 4 or 3? 3. So my answer has to have 3 sig figs only. So we're going to start over here on the far left and then count over to the right. So we start with 1, 2, 3. So here's where I stop. Now, you do not want to do this for your answer. You do not want to write 2, 2, 4 and say, okay, done. Yes, that's 3 sig figs, but the answer is not 224. Totally wrong number. You need to have your placeholder. The correct answer, and I'm going to zoom up this number, 1 second. The correct answer is not 224. You go 1, 2, 3, look at the number next to the 4. It's another 4, so if you saw in the video for rounding, you round down. You keep this a 4 and you just make a 0 there. You need your placeholder. So the answer is 2,240. 2,240. Now again, this is 3 significant figures. And it's correct because again, you gotta have the 0 that I'm highlighting right here because that is a placeholder. You don't want to make all these numbers zeros though. Don't confuse those for placeholders because if you change these to zeros, guess what? Now they're significant because they're to the right hand side of the decimal and they're to the right of significant figures. So don't make those 0. In fact, when you have a big number like this, you make zeros until you get to the decimal point and then stop. So again, this 0 is called a placeholder. It lets you know that this is 2,240, not 224. So again, start on the left, count over 3, 1, 2, 3. Look at the number next to it, it's a 4. That tells me to keep this a 4, round down, and it goes to 40. We're going to do pretty much the exact same thing for this one. 62 times 4.8371. If I do that, I get 299.9002. Okay? How many sig figs are in each number? Well, 62 has 2, so there's 2 sig figs in this number. Whoopsies, there we go. 2. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one has 5. Clearly, 2 smaller, so start here. 1, 2. So, right here's where I'm going to round. Look at the number next to it. It's a 9. That tells me to round up. So, 300. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. But we have a problem. How many sig figs is 300? That's right, it's only 1 sig fig. We have to have 2 sig figs. So how do you change this to 2? Someone goes, oh, just go 290. No, that's not the right answer. Yes, that's 2 significant figures, but that's not the right answer. We need to have 300. So, how do you make 300 into 2 sig figs? Well, if you saw that flipping physics video, you should know you need to change this to scientific notation. So, let's change that to scientific notation. 3.0. I'm going to put this equal sign. So 300 equals 3.0 times 10 to the, hopefully you should know it. If you don't, well, you should. It's 2. So again, because you moved the decimal was right here, 1, 2. That's where that 2 comes from, because I moved the decimal 2 places. So 300 is the same thing as saying 3.0 times 10 to the second. But now it's 2 sig figs. So again, this was only 1 sig fig, now it's 2 sig figs. So when you multiply and divide, you always want to go by the fewest number of sig figs. But watch out for crazy situations like this one, where your answer does not give you the correct number of sig figs, in which case you need to change it to scientific notation to make it the correct number of sig figs. So there you go. And just on a side note, by the way, you may notice in some of the videos I'm referring to things being like in AP Physics. That's because I use the same videos in AP Physics as I do in chemistry, honors chemistry, and that I'm now using for the CCP Chem. So if you hear me say anything about, oh, you should have learned this in chemistry and welcome to AP Physics, just ignore that. I'm just using all the videos in the same thing. Thanks.